So, hi, good afternoon, everyone. Let's continue with our online class for third phylum under kingdom Animalia, that would be Ctenophora. We have already discussed through two different online classes about two phylum that we have, Porifera, that is the sponges, and Coelenterata or the cnidarians. And we have already discussed their salient features and the most common examples and the different diagrams for the internal and external body design that is to be covered. So I'll just very quickly bring you to the next phylum that we are gonna do today. Coming to our topic and slide. So here it is. So what do you see in front of you? The walnut kind of a shape. So this is the phylum which is also called the phylum of the sea walnuts. So as the name indicates, sea means that they are marine. They are found in seas and oceans, majority of them. Um, and they are spherical, as if like a walnut, right? And they also have the radially symmetrical body design, which means that their body can be divided into two symmetrical and equal halves from more than two planes. Diploblastic organisms. So, as the keyword indicates, diploblastic, that means there are two germinal layers, the ectoderm and the endoderm. In between, you have a jelly-like matrix called the mesoglia. So, this is the germinal origin of this group of organisms, and they are not having the cellular level of organization. In fact, the specialized cells, they aggregate and form special groups or the tissues. So, they show the tissue level of organization. And of course, as the name indicates, so if you must have seen that it is spelled with a C, but we are pronouncing it as the T. So the C remains silent, like in case of the Cnidaria. So it is ctenophores. And of course, it is characterized by 8 comb plates. So the body of the ctenophore, a typical ctenophore, will bear 8 comb plates. These comb plates are essentially 8 external rows of cilia. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, right? And they are responsible for providing locomotion and movement from one position to another. And of course, they also have their role in digestion. They also have their role in prey capture. So we'll be talking more about that later. Digestion is extracellular as well as intracellular, which would mean that the digestion is taking place within the cells. So that is there. And the characteristic property, remember every phylum has one standout characteristic feature, like the Porifera have the pores or the ostia. Then the cnidarians have the nematocysts and the cnidoblasts. So right now, what Ctenophora is characterized with is the property of bioluminescence. So this is the property in which the living organisms, they emit light, right? And it is most of them are emitting light in the visible range of blue and green regions. So they emit blue or green lights, and this can be seen in darkness. So it would be very obvious to say that when they are found in deeper parts of the oceans, that is when the bioluminescence can be seen very prominently. Sexes are not separate, which means that the ctenophores are hermaphroditic. That is, the male and the female sex organs are present on the same body. There is just one body on which both the male and female sex organs are present. And fertilization is external, that the sex cells or the gametes, the male and female gametes, they fuse and they fertilize outside the body of the organism, and there is indirect development. So there is the larval stage involved. The two classic examples taken in your NCRT text are the Pleurobrachia and the Ctenoplana. But I thought that we'll proceed and add some additional concepts for NEET as well. So this is about what the NCRT tells us about Ctenophora. But let's go ahead and see what we need to prepare for NEET and how we need to expand this one paragraph into detail points. So just look at the diagram of the sea walnut over here, or the ctenophore. It has a mouth, and then it has the comb plates, and then the cilia are present. I'll just quickly take you through the actual images. So how do the ctenophores actually appear in the dark waters of the ocean? You can very easily see the comb plates, marking the body all over. So these are 8 comb plates in total bearing the cilia. And of course, you can see the body is emitting blue light, right? So this is very interesting that the body of the ctenophores, it keeps on changing and emitting lights of different wavelengths, but majority of that is scattered in the blue or the green region or spectrum. And of course, I would now request you to find out what actually causes bioluminescence in these living organisms. So go ahead, put down your answers in the comment section. I'll be happy to receive your comments and revert back as well. Of course, this is a more clearer picture. This is what exactly they look like. You can see the sharp comb plates. So when we say the comb, I'm just magnifying and trying to show you how the teeth-like appearance, you can see all along the body of the ctenophores. And then we come to the next part, which is how are they getting their nutrition? So how do ctenophores fit into the food chain or the food web of the marine ecology? So number one, they are carnivores. They are not feeding on plant material at all. They feed on other small animals and their parts thereof. So they are mostly feeding on zooplanktonic prey. So mostly protists, some small crustaceans, and of course larvae of other marine invertebrates, clams, snails. We'll be talking about this group or the phylum later on. But right now you need to remember that they are carnivorous. Digestion is both extracellular as well as intracellular. And this is a very good image of different types of ctenophores, where you can see the mouth is located at like the top or the tip, right? The comb plates are very obvious, the cilia are very obvious, and the mouth, which has highly branched, sticky tentacles, which allow the zooplanktonic or the small animal prey to, stick on. And then ultimately the tentacles, they drag the food particle or the small animal or the larvae or whatever the ctenophore is feeding on into the mouth of the cavity, which is basically at the top or at the tip, and it is slightly protruded. It is bulging out. If you can see in this case, see, it is like a bulge or a protrusion. And uh, which other phyla feed on, or which other organisms end up preying upon ctenophora or eating ctenophora? That would include a number of jellyfish or the medusae form of a number of cnidarians, as well as some sea turtles and other small fishes. Since we said that every phylum has its own set of typical characters, when we talked of ctenophores, we essentially talked of bioluminescence, and which I'm again and again repeatedly asking you to find out, which are the special molecules which are responsible for producing bioluminescence in living organisms. So the unique characteristic over here is the presence of sticky structures called the coloblasts. So I've just highlighted the term for you. Now, this is a term which is missing from the text. But since we are dealing with salient features of all the phyla, why not refer to this? So, coloblasts are the special sticky structures which are microscopic and they are present at the tentacle. They help in, attracting and adhering or sticking onto the prey and, bringing it across the mouth of the protruding mouth of the ctenophore. And ultimately by the spinning motion, it is that the prey finally gets inside the body. What about the life cycle and reproduction of the ctenophores? Well, this is surprising. Majority of the most well studied and well known ctenophores, they are planktonic in nature, which means that they are found swimming. They are planktonic. They are swimming at the surface of the seas and oceans. Majority of them are marine. They are, like we don't know of freshwater ctenophores, I guess, and they carry their entire life cycle in the planktonic swimming form. So that is the term holoplanktonic. So holo means complete, entire, planktonic. The entire stage is, their majority of the times, the entire life cycle is planktonic. They are found swimming at the surface of the marine waters. And they are hermaphroditic, which means they are bisexual. A single ctenophore organism's body will carry both the male and female gonads or the primary sex organs. That means one organism will be producing both the sperm and the egg, right? Another important aspect which was discussed very previously was that the fertilization is external. The sperms and the eggs will fuse and fertilize. Fertilization will happen outside the body of the ctenophore. There is no direct development, there is indirect development. That once the egg has been formed, the fertilized egg will now undergo a larval stage. There is an intermediate stage, and from the larval stage, the free floating or the planktonic ctenophores will be hatched or released. And it is very interesting to note that ctenophores start reproducing at a very early stage when they are very small in size. And as their size increases, the number of gametes that they are forming, it reduces. So this is another different character. Just to summarize, whatever features we have done, ctenophores, number one, are characterized by the teens or the comb plates of cilia. They are meant for locomotion. They are meant for, attracting prey as well. And there are eight of them, eight comb plates or teens. So sometimes in Greek, the ctenophores have also been called the comb bearers. Ctenophores. They are simple animals. They are found in marine waters. Majority of the ctenophores are unpigmented. They're very transparent. Their bodies are transparent. However, you will find that the benthic, there is one class of ctenophores which are found dwelling in the deep ocean waters near the ocean beds. They are called the benthic ctenophores, and they are pigmented. They have this light pink crimson appearance. About 100 to 150 species of this one single phylum is known, and you will find typically three kinds of ctenophores: coastal, swimming along the surface of the coast, ocean and marine waters, and oceanic, deep inside the ocean, and benthic, attached to or found near, swimming near the ocean floors. And the different examples have been cited for your convenience. So that summarizes the phylum that we were talking about for today. In the next class, we will be dealing with another phylum, which would be probably, I also wanted to do a recap of Porifera and Cnidarians for those who missed. So if you want a recap video, please let me know in the comment thread below. That would be it for today. Thank you so much.